up, y'all? Welcome back to Creative Questions. I'm excited to have you all here for another week with an amazing guest. We're going to hop straight into it. This week we have on Fabiola Lara, who is a Chilean-American illustrator and podcaster based in the Philadelphia area. On this episode, we talk about our experiences with the corporate world versus our lives now as freelancers. We talk about the worst trashy TV that's kind of out there and how we kind of loved it. And we also talk about the landscape of social media. She also provides some really cool tips that even hit home for me. So I'm very excited to hop straight into this episode. Here is Fabiola. All right, I think we're live. How's it going?
Good. It's going great. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. How's your day going? Do you have any exciting plans today or anything going on this week?
Nothing too exciting.
Okay.
Just, waiting for that 4th of July. I need a burger. That's where I'm at mentally.
Yeah. I was looking because my last week of work for me was really slow, and then I was like, okay, I wonder what's going on, and I was like, oh shoot, 4th of July is next week.
Yeah, I'm like, should I contact any art director? It's like,
no,
maybe next week.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Just I guess we chill. It's like,
yeah.
It's always like, for me when it's slow, it's always like that meme where the dog's in a restaurant and everything's on fire. And I'm like, brain, why are you doing this to me? Like, we don't have to be like this every time it's slow, but...
But it kind of does feel that way, though. No, I feel you. I'm right there with you in the burning house.
Yeah, so it's always rough, but I'm so excited to chat with you. Feel like I've had a string of really cool guests, so I'm glad to have you on today and be able to kind of talk a little shop, talk a little fun, and have a good time. So I'm gonna kick it off with a random question that will get us going.
Let's do it.
So I was in the beginning of the pod, like to start with something from your childhood or from your youth. So when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up?
This is hard. I feel like, to be honest, the one dream that I have that I remember vividly, before parents, at least my parents, were like, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a professional, of that kind. My personal dream was to have a mobile fruit truck. I thought they were so freaking cool. If you think about it, it is really cool. The trucks are decked out. I don't know if you've seen them. In Miami, they were really popular. Okay. It's usually a truck or a van. And if it's a truck, it has a cage on the back and all this fruit hangs off of it. It's mobile. That guy, he just drives it to the nearest parking lot and he's vending, Yeah. And I just thought that was so sick, and it was always so packed. I just thought it was so cool. And that's one of the careers that I thought was so good. And my mom was very encouraging of this. She was like, yeah, that's amazing.
That's dope.
So I feel like she knew I would outgrow it,
sure.
But at that time I was like, nothing cooler than having this amazing truck that has all this mishmashed ways. It's not official in any way. It's not, it's just hijacked to sell bananas and mangoes and whatever, and it was sick.
That's so dope. It's so wild when you're a kid. You're just like, hey, the guy who sells, I gotta be that person.
He's so freaking cool. He's just out here slinging fruits, and we're loving it. And he has a little sign. And I would get so excited when I saw them driving, not parked, just oh my God, there he goes,
That's awesome. I know for me, it was I was super into people cutting grass. I don't know why. I thought it was so cool. I was like, dang.
Well, they have cool machinery.
Yeah, that's fair. Because you got the weed eater thing, and it kind of looks like a little chainsaw.
And it's somebody at work, visible, right?
Yeah.
So many times people are at work and it's you don't know what they do. And it's fruit stand guy and the lawn care people, like, you can see the labor happening.
That is fair. I've never thought about that, but that's probably why. Like, I used to be like, they would cut the grass and they have all these like patterns in the grass. I was like, dang, that's really cool. Like, I would love to be able to do
the
that.
artistry. Honestly, I get it.
So now I have a son, and like, he's super into construction right now. So he's like, construction worker, I'm gonna build houses. To yesterday, it turned to like an astronaut, and I was like, do your thing, man. Go.
Changing.
Yeah.
Have you seen that construction theme park?
I have. I did see. I think I saw it on TikTok or something. Like,
yes.
We talked about it.
It seems cool. It seems cool,
but there's a hint of danger where I'm like,
there is like, because it's like the Ferris wheel or something is like some type of machinery that you're like, I don't know if that was like, if the safety measures have been put really in place.
I saw someone I think it was like someone hanging off a string, like that was attached to like a digger that was spinning in a circle, and I was like, maybe 9 or 10. Maybe we'll put your life in danger at 9 or 10. That sounds a little bit easier on you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to kind of like go back a little bit and explore some of those thoughts from when I was a kid. You know, healing trauma, trying to get back through all the mess that we kind of had to go through as like trying to be adults too early. I feel like college for me was trying to be an adult too early. So I kind of gave up a lot of the passions and the dreams that I had, or what I thought was an adult. I kind of gave up a lot of the things that I wanted. So I've been trying to like think back, and like there was a moment where I wanted to be an astronaut and I wanted to be a videographer, and it was like, why did I want to be those things? Or like, how do I like get closer to because they say the closer you get to the ideas that you had as a kid, the more yourself you are, because that was a time in your life where you got to be super free, so there was nothing holding you back.
I totally agree with that. I would agree. Like, it's true though, if you think about it, when you get like a client project that is something that like kid you would have loved, it's like, oh my gosh, I almost don't even care what you pay me, but hopefully you're paying me good, but like I almost don't care. But no, I totally feel that. As a kid, I would draw a lot of I would, picture in picture.
Yeah.
So I would watch SpongeBob, I would freeze it, and then I would draw SpongeBob, and I would draw like, like I had like fax machine paper.
Yeah.
The one that like
kind.
is an endless, the endless roll, and it's just like SpongeBob. Like if you're gonna leave me home alone, I'm drawing SpongeBob for like as long as I possibly can. And I'm like, yeah, that would be sick to do something with SpongeBob now. I'd be stoked.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's dope though. What were you doing before you were like freelance illustrator? Was it anything that was more like 9 to 5, more corporate?
Yes, of course. My corporate era, I worked in social media marketing, and I worked at Tumblr, and then I worked at Pop Sugar doing social media. I ran Tumblr's Instagram account, which is funny, but also, of course, did stuff within the like Tumblr ecosystem, within the world that we had there. And then at Pop Sugar, I also managed the Instagram, and I had a team there. Because we had a lot of Instagram accounts, and we posted a lot. So that kind of stuff. I honestly, looking back, I can appreciate my corporate era. I think it taught me a lot of stuff. But I was excited to get out because I could notice just like the corporate ladder sucking me in. Like at some point, like, you can't say no to a promotion, and they're gonna put people under you, and you're gonna have to manage people now. And like, did you even ever want to do that? I don't know. And corporate politics, like being not American white, it's like corporate politics are so weird, and you have to like play this game, and it gets crazy. Like the craziest people get to the top, and it's crazy. It's a crazy game. And so I'm glad I left, but like I do have an appreciation for the time I put in. I feel like it taught me a lot about like emailing and negotiating and like how to give corporate feedback in a nice way, and stuff like that. But I do prefer freelancing when it's busy, which I think we can all I think it's a universal truth at this point that creatives are not busy this year. And now I'm looking a little bit fondly at my corporate era, but you know,
Yeah, it's a toss up.
it's a game. It's a
Yeah.
balance. It's a balance.
It's pros and cons. I definitely feel everything you said about corporate world. It's a tough place to be. Like, I went to school to be an engineer, and I was like, okay, I'll get out. I'll solve hard problems. I'll give it the thing. And then they're like, no, you're going to manage people who don't want to be managed. And I'm like, that does not sound
And that's the
fun.
only way to make more money.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
That sounds
that's
terrible.
the game. This is the whole thing. Like, I just have to keep going up.
Yeah.
Ah!
And then being a person of color, you're in there and you're like, person of color representative, I have questions for you. Would you like to answer those questions? And I'm like, no, I would not like to talk about the politics of brown people and the police. I don't want to do that today.
Yes, that's so odd. I'm so sorry they did that to you. I feel like for me, because I benefit a lot from being like super white passing.
Yeah.
Like, I am white, right? Like, in Chile,
For sure.
I'm white. And here I'm also white. But I'm not like Connecticut
Yeah.
white. I'm not like generationally, culturally white.
For
I don't know
sure.
how to better explain that. And so sometimes I would get the opposite problem where they're like, just forget that I am anything but white. And this is a good problem, right? This
Yeah.
is what's taking me far.
For
Like,
sure.
I have to admit, like, the fact that it's undetectable in some sense, unless like I say my name every time I enter a room, got me far.
For sure.
Probably, you know. But at the same time, when I would be in these meetings about like Latin American Heritage Month or like selecting, you know, people to feature, and we want to make sure it's diverse and all this stuff, sometimes it would be funny because like people just forget that I'm there, and I'd have to be like, sorry, what, I have this concern.
Yeah.
And it's kind of awkward, you know, but it's I guess a better experience
sure.
in whatever twisted way that it, you know, in whatever twisted way that is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my POV.
It's wild sometimes when we have to take those wins, and that's, if there's one thing that I would love to explain to people who don't look like us, it's just there's this constant like teeter-totter of wins and losses. Like, you're like, okay, I'll take it over
Constant,
here,
yeah.
and then over here it's like, that's just kind of what comes with the territory. And it's like this world that like you just get thrown back and forth, almost like being in the ocean. You're just like thrown back and forth. And
Yeah,
you're like,
and you have to just ride it out
Yeah.
because there's no other option. And I feel like I benefit a ton from being what I call extremely marketably Latina,
For sure.
like in unoffensively Latina, right? It's like, oh, white man hiring me for a campaign is like, oh, this is great, like just enough, you know, which great for me.
Yeah.
Unfortunate reality,
For
but I
sure.
have to, I like to say like I'm aware of it.
For sure.
And it's all I got, right? Like I can't, this is what I'm working with.
For sure.
But yeah, it's always like, it's a tricky one. And I'm always like, my lived experience is so different from the lived experience of someone who's darker than me or more like indigenous than me. And yeah, I just like, I'm totally aware of it. But at the same time, like I'm still not getting half of the opportunities that like true white Americans are getting, you know?
It's tough.
So,
it's
yeah.
tough. But I mean, and that's something that I've had to like kind of deal with, of course, your whole life. But is eventually, I feel like I've eventually come to terms with it, and I'm proud of who I am. And everywhere I show up, I'm black because there's nothing. I could watch anime and be black. I could play video games and be black. I could
Hell yeah.
do like be a freelancer and be black. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do about that. It's a game that I can't control. So why not show up and be proud and take the opportunities that I can get and have these conversations, because these conversations are important. Feel a little less lonely
Totally.
in the world.
100%. And I feel you. I'm like at a different end of the spectrum, but like nonetheless, I feel like anyone who is a minority in the US is faced with these like questions and predicaments and just like playing within like a unfavorable system.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Unfavorable. I like that.
All of us at different degrees.
Yeah.
Right? All of us at different
At
degrees.
the same time. And it's like.
At the same time and in different games, right? Because there's like a different game for everyone,
Yeah.
right? So it's so messed up. But it's the truth, and we're just surviving.
Yeah, for sure. So you had experience with social media. So I would like to kind of get what are your feelings of social media? Let's start with currently.
Currently, I feel like it's more competitive than ever. I want to address that at the top. Like, it is hard out there. I'm not saying it's easy, but the competition is fierce. And I feel like right now you can make social media work for you, whether that's YouTube, whether that's podcasts. Well, podcasts, is it social media? Whatever. I don't know. But like Instagram, TikTok, Shorts, whatever you want to, Twitter, Threads, it's competitive and you can make it work for you. But I think my philosophy is like you have to put in work for it to work for you. We're no longer in the days of like you just happen to get a good picture and post it and it's gonna go off. Like that's not the game we're really in anymore, unless you're like a celebrity, right?
Sure.
Like Kylie Jenner can post a pic of her sandwich and it's gonna blow up, but for most people that's not the case. So I feel like it's more competitive than ever, and I feel like the skills, everyone's like developing their skills really rapidly. So now it's also like a skill competition.
Yep.
But I would say it always kind of was, right? Like when Instagram first popped off, like if you were good at photography, you had an advantage. Yeah. If you were an artist, you had an advantage because you can make really captivating images. Yep. And now if you're good at video, you have an advantage. And that's just like the evolution of social media. And so that's where I think we're at. Competitive and fierce.
How do you feel a certain way about that? Would you wish it the old days, or does that make you not want to compete, or how do you feel about like being here?
I feel like I'm at peace.
Okay.
But this is because I spent years working in social media. Fair. Where it's like, you just have to accept that this is the landscape that we're in, and you're just adapting constantly. And the same applies when you're a freelancer. Like you have to adapt if you're gonna care about social media, right? If you're gonna give it value, and have it like have it be something you care about, then you're gonna have to put in that effort. In the same way that a lot of these companies, and when I worked at the companies, we had to put in effort to get the numbers that I wanted to show my boss. Like it's a job. And I think because I did the job, I'm aware of it and I accept that it is a job. It's not something that just like is a little hobby you can just do on the side and be great at, right? Like if you're going to be great at it, it's a job. And I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with that because it literally was my job. But I know that a lot of creatives don't feel the same way. And I feel for those people, those creatives that like maybe are, really disappointed in social media. But I would just say like, for me, it's like if you're going to let the results of social media influence your feelings and emotions, then maybe you should put in the effort to get what you want out of it.
Fair.
Or put it aside. Just be like, I am not going to let these numbers affect me. I'm going to post whatever I want to post, and the likes aren't going to affect me. Because I'm just doing it on the side. I'm just doing it like it's not a big priority for me. So then don't let it impact you like tenfold. But I just feel like you get in what you put out. And for me, I'm okay with that. But it is a lot of effort to keep up with. Like I do acknowledge that. But you don't have to keep up with it is what I'm saying. Like you can choose to do other things if you want.
Yeah. You're basically saying you can choose to play the game or not play the game. If you don't want to participate,
then that's
fine.
I think a lot of artists think it shouldn't be a game. Like it should be a given. Like you post and everyone should see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it kind of never was that way.
Yeah.
It just happened to work for you before and no longer, right? Like, Flickr was the same way. And then everyone left Flickr for Tumblr. Because people are like, why can't we have the old Instagram? And I'm like, in my head, right? As someone who worked in social media, the old Instagram would not work anymore. All of us would be on TikTok. All of us would have ditched it because it would be just like starting to flatline.
For sure.
So that's why these platforms have to keep evolving to keep attention,
Yep.
which is what you want for yourself, for your work. So it's like,
And as a
we
consumer,
worked on,
they want to be
Exactly.
like be entertained.
you want to be entertained.
Yeah.
You want the input. So yeah, I just feel like I fully acknowledge that it's like a game. It's capitalism, right?
For
like,
sure.
it is. So that's kind of where I stand with it. I know it sours a lot of people's vibes, but I kind of just see it as clarity. Like, if you want to play the game, learn it. There's going to be a learning curve, like with anything, but you can do it. Or if you're just like, I hate this game, then just don't play. Go do something else.
I love that. I love that take. Because I feel like I've been around a lot of creatives they're kind of, maybe they're burnt out, or maybe they're just unsure of how to be seen. Like, because there's a piece of it where they're like,
Yeah.
I've been trying a very long time and I haven't been seen like the way I want to be seen. And I'm like, I get that. It is a really tough game. And you're right. There's a lot of time that goes into, I can tell by your feed. I was going through it yesterday. I was like, this girl puts in the work. Like,
Dude, I am like, people are like, oh, your Instagram's so nice, or your videos are so nice. I'm like, yeah, and it's not like that without effort.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for acknowledging that, but also like, I put in hours, and like, unfortunately, like, fortunately for me, I like doing it.
Sure.
So I have that advantage, right? But I also think it's something that can be learned. Like, I didn't always like to make videos. I got better at it the more I did it, the more I started to like tweak what I'm doing and refine my process, like any other creative process.
Yeah, and that's to the point. Like, I watch a lot of YouTube, and I will watch a video and I'm like, dang, that's really cool that they can go and put these things together, from the writing to what they cover to the ending of it to what it looks like to how it sounds. Like, I think that's really cool, and it is a piece of like, you do get to be creative in your own way with a lot of this stuff. So it's like, why not take another avenue to be creative that is also very popular right now and gets you more seen,
right?
And you get to use, and the other big thing for me is like, I get to use my voice now. Like, before I was just making pictures, and like, yes, they might have something that you could interpret, but now I can tell you, and you can see my face, and I can tell you exactly. So
I 100% feel that. And I feel like a huge example is YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Like, a video that's like whatever takes so much effort. And then you start seeing people who are doing like killer videos, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like 5 times the amount of effort I put into my raggedy video.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you want to do better, and you want to make it better, and you can see your vision.
Yep.
And I think that's all like same to you. I love using my voice. I don't love being on camera, but I do find it like somewhat easier as time has gone by. And like, yeah, there's just a lot of things that you can do that maybe with a picture would take you longer.
Yeah.
Or to get it just right, But I love your intro sequence. I think it's so cool. And I was looking at that and I was like, dang, that's sick. Like, but I can see the effort that goes into it. And I'm just like, I feel like people think that there's no effort, and certain people are just getting picked to go to like have a really explosive reel or really explosive YouTube video. And I'm like, no, there's a ton of effort being put into that you could also maybe learn to do if you want.
But yeah, you won't know it tomorrow. It's gonna be your 1000th post. Like,
exactly. That's my whole point, is like, how long have you been putting in effort? Not just like posts and stuff. Dang. But like really considering what you're posting. Because I've done that. I did that for 5 years in-house at a brand, like really thinking about every single post. So that's why for me, doing it for myself, it feels natural. But I think for a lot of people, it feels like overkill.
For sure. And this is another piece that I think I've talked to some of my friends, and they're worried about. They're worried about this future where like you need to have a platform and a personal brand to even get hired, like to get a job. And I'm like, I understand that fear, but if you know that might be a possibility, why wouldn't you work towards remedying it, like getting ahead of it?
Right.
Like,
if that's your concern, then maybe put it on your list of to-dos. But that's a hard reality for people to swallow, you know? Like, I totally get that. It is a fear of mine that you need a brand, especially as we move towards like a world with AI.
Yep.
Like what's going to differentiate you from AI? Having a really strong brand
Yes.
that people are like, oh, I could outsource to AI, but it's different if it comes from this specific person. And yeah, a good way to build a really good brand is to do it online.
Yep.
I'm sure you could do it other ways. I don't know what that would be. Like, I don't specifically know how you would do that, but like a good way is to do it online by kind of putting your stamp on your content and having like a strong point of view. And yeah, exactly. It's like maybe that's what you have to do if you care about that avenue.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have any tips for people who are having a hard, since you come from that professional world, do you have any tips for people just to make better content online?
Yes, I have some tips.
Okay,
I would say like something that I encounter a lot is people are like, man, no one is seeing my posts. And I'm like, okay, yes, that sucks. Totally, that sucks. How many times have you posted in the last month? Because a lot of the times, those people have posted like 4 times in the last month. And then the month prior, 4 times. You know, they're posting very, very infrequently. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that posting more is going to guarantee tons of likes or views, but your odds are just better, right? Sure. Like just from an odds point of view, it's better. But also you don't have a benchmark of performance. Like you don't know if your average post does 200 likes because you have 4 posts. You're telling me if you average 4 posts, that's not a strong average. You know, that's like a really small data pool. And if the last year you've posted 12 posts or 20, like that's still a really small set of data. So my first thing is like post more, worry about just posting stuff, get enough posts to have a real data set to be like, okay, my average amount of likes is this, my average amount of views is this. And if I do better than that on my next post, I had a killer post. Because now you can really point blank be like, that was a good post and that was a bad post in terms of whatever metric you care about. But like just going based on feeling, like, yeah, I don't like getting 100 likes on a post. I don't like it. Yeah. But if my last posts have all gotten 50 likes, this 100 likes is great. Really good. You're up by a lot. So like, I feel like sometimes just looking at the numbers and being less emotion based and more just like data based kind of can separate you from the performance of the post and separate you from like the artwork a little bit and just be like, was this a good post? Like the art could be amazing. It just might not be a good post for Instagram. For sure. That's the reality of the situation. And that's okay. You can see that based on the numbers and try and post it in a different way next time and see if that does better in one way or another. So I would say like, yeah, a lot of people, you need a good benchmark before you can start judging yourself. And you're not going to get that until you post a lot more. For sure.
I love that. 2 things. One of them, wait, before I forget, I think I forgot the second thing. First thing, I always try to explain it as it's like billboards on the highway. Is like, if you see a billboard once, maybe at the beginning of your trip, you're probably not going to remember that thing. But if you saw that billboard 5-6 times, there's more likely a chance that people are going to see that and remember it. So you have to think about your content kind of in that way. Oh, and this is the other thing. And it's like, I feel like the way that you're describing that is kind of using the data that, because we all get on social media. Social media is free for a reason, and it's because they're collecting our data. But it feels like in that way that you're describing, you're taking back control of the data because you're creating your own data points and being able to kind of monitor how these pieces are going. So I think that's really a really
exactly,
cool
and it keeps it less like okay, don't take it too personal. Let's look at the numbers. It's like looking at your bank account. Like it's just the facts are the facts. Like you can work on this or you can ignore it. Like I don't know, it's up to you. But I feel like if you go, for example, for Instagram, if you go to Meta, like if you go to facebook.com on a desktop, you can look at your Instagram account if it's connected, which it most likely is. You can pull like a 90-day pull of your metrics. So you can say like, give me all my likes, my views, my follower count for the last 90 days. And you can do a quick, average There are platforms that do this for you, but most of the time you have to pay like some sort of fee. You can do this yourself on a little spreadsheet on Google Drive and pull your averages, your median, kind of your max and your min, so you can get a better understanding the next month of where you are. And that's honestly what I used to do when I worked in an office. It was like, look, boss, like these numbers are up. Good job. Let's feel good.
Yeah.
And then if a number was down, you think about, why is that number down?
Sure.
Could it have been 4th of July that I posted that and no one's going to interact? Could it have been like, sometimes it is like, oh, an algorithm change.
For sure.
You can say that and then just take the pressure off and see if you can get a handle back on it the next month.
Yeah.
But like, I think, yeah, like you said, it keeps you looking at it straight and less like emotional.
Yeah.
So you can better iterate every month, and you're not going to go from like, 50 likes to 10,000 likes the next month. That's not realistic. And I feel like that's what people want. They want their reach to go from 500 to everyone that follows them. And I'm like, come on, that's just no one's doing that. Like no one in here is doing that at all. So we got to be realistic based on the numbers, based on your track record. Yeah.
I love that. That was a nice little segment there. I love that.
You got to get, I feel like people are too in their feelings. They're too like, my artwork is good. Why didn't no one see it? And I'm like, put the artwork aside. Let's look at this post. Like,
and not gonna lie,
it's not the same. It's not the same.
You're talking to me right now. I can have those moments, especially, I don't know. Being an artist, it is hard to be judged and it's hard to be viewed.
It is hard.
And it's hard posting anything or showing up for anything is vulnerable. And it's something that other people don't do. And that's for a reason. They can't get there, but we can get there. And maybe it's like, we take and put that vulnerability. I mean, you're still being vulnerable putting it out there, but we take and put that emotion somewhere else if we're trying to get to a goal. So.
Right, exactly. And it's like, obviously, for example, if I post like a painting that I made that has like almost no like strong hook, let's say, or like a lot of context or story, it's just like, hey, this is just a painting I made. My expectations for that post are kind of low. Yeah. Like, you know what? I'm just happy whoever sees it. And maybe a client will reference this post in the future if they want something in this style. And that's the goal of that post. The goal of that post is not hundreds of comments. For sure. Or like thousands of reshares. That would be very, very
It would be
unexpected.
weird. It would actually be weird.
It would be odd. You'd be like, wow, that's crazy. And then most of the time I'm like, look at the thing that the last thing that popped off on your account probably was like a quote that said like something sort of inspiring or relatable, because it's social media and that's the game we're in. We're not in a gallery. No. That's a different game, So I feel like if you just keep perspective and like, you can't critique your artwork for the performance of your social media. Those are just two different things.
Dang. Hey, that was great.
And people don't like it, but
I mean,
I think it's better this way. I'm trying to tell you this is better. Yeah. It's
the truth. You can be objective. There's no being subjective here. These are the objective facts, and I love that.
Yeah, and just keep it straight. 2 separate things I think should make you feel better, because don't let the performance of your Instagram or your YouTube channel affect like be like how good of a creative you are.
It doesn't.
That's not the right. That they're not tit for tat.
Fair. Okay. So we're going to change gears here. If you could erase any trashy TV show from existence, which one would it be and why?
Listen, I don't know if I can say this, but you did mention this question to me before, and I've been thinking about it. This is the question I've been thinking the most deeply about. Because I was like, wow.
Isn't it weird?
It's that.
Okay.
I mean, the business questions, the art questions. I think about that every day in here critically.
I can tell. You're sharp.
Thinking critically about my trashy TV choices. Ooh, wow. This is really hard. And I thought of one.
Okay.
And it's Toddlers and Tiaras. It's no longer running.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I love that show. I loved it. I watched every episode of that show. But I think looking back, we can all say that was probably not good for those kids. And hopefully there's not any like pageant listeners right now, but like I feel like maybe kid pageants are not the healthiest environment for children.
Agreed.
Long term.
Yep.
So I don't think it's the worst environment, but like maybe it's not the best environment.
Yeah.
At least what was portrayed in Toddlers and Tiaras.
Yeah, I agree.
And so maybe that show shouldn't have happened because I do feel like it had some maybe negative impacts on the kids. And also then like the kids grow up and they have this show about them being like 5 years old that they didn't probably consent to.
Yep.
And is out there, and like their friends have memes of them being 5 and saying something like quirky. And I just don't think that's healthy nowadays. So I would say that show, because we can also see like Honey Boo Boo broke out of that show, and it's only been crazy.
It's only been a mess.
It's only been crazy. Yeah. I've absolutely enjoyed watching it, but I wouldn't wish it on anyone, you know?
Dang. Wasn't that on TLC? TLC had a bunch of shows now that I would...
TLC is my favorite network. TLC is my favorite network. It's so freaking crazy. It's crazy. Every time you come across TLC, it's like, oh my gosh, like it's always something that you're like, wow, I can't believe they're making this show. Like, who said to do this? Okay. And I'm here watching.
Yeah. There's been drama around John and Kate +8. There's been drama around that show.
That was bad too.
The Duggars.
Sister Wives,
like all.
Oh my God. The Duggars.
I know.
I was obsessed with the Duggars in high school because I thought they were so freaky. And I was almost valedictorian, and I wanted to be valedictorian just so I could thank every Duggar, all 16 of them. I would try to memorize the order, like Jedediah, Jeremiah, Joanna, like in the order, because I thought it was so crazy. So you can see I go way back with these.
No, I love it. I love reality TV. It's like it's just so captivating. Like, me and my wife are watching Naked and Afraid. We watch Naked and Afraid XL like religiously, and like it's just the drama that they create in the jungle naked is wild. Like,
and then you're like, you signed up for this, like, and then you're just constantly asking each other, would you do that? Like, would you do that? What would you do? It's literally like a study of humanity.
Yes, that's what
and
my
I
wife
think
always says.
Like 500 years from now, like there's gonna be people watching this to understand society.
Yep.
You know, the way we look at like what's it called, like hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
They're gonna be looking like at our Netflix, like, wow, these people were so wild. And I'm down. I think it's a valuable thing in society, because like now I know like where. Like where my morals are.
Yeah, where the
like,
line is.
Yeah, like where my ethics are, like how I would behave, and how everyone around me would.
Yeah, it's incredible that it exists. I watch Vanderpump Rules. I watch them all. Like, have you watched Vanderpump Rules?
They're so good.
That's like one of my favorites.
I haven't because I haven't gotten into the Bravo world. Not because I don't want to, but because I don't think I have a login.
Okay.
And so I haven't had the like wherewithal to figure that out. But like, because Netflix keeps giving me so much trash that I'm good. You know, like Hulu and Netflix are providing enough reality TV to keep me satiated.
For sure.
Right now, my number one is Love Island UK.
Oh, me too. We're on like season 10. It's so good.
It's so good. I'm on the current season, and I'm like, this is insane. This is so insane. And the Britishisms make it better.
Yes.
And I'm like, is your head scrambled, babe?
Yeah.
Like, it's so
Pied
good.
me off. We started at season 1. And like the sayings at season 1, you can't even tell what they're saying. Like, you're like, I don't know what that means. No. And then by season 2.
One time the captions.
Oh, go ahead.
One time the captions weren't working for me, and I had to be like, I can't. Like, I need to restart the Hulu app. Like, I don't know what's happening. I don't understand. It's
amazing.
Crazy.
I just love seeing British people be wild. Like, I think we all Americans need to view this and know that we are kind of the same.
Yes, exactly. Like, I love seeing, like, I feel like in the US we have like a perception of like British being like uppity, and this is an insight as to like the true trashiness that is the UK, and like we have so much more in common.
Yes, we can be one
with our ancestors.
It's so good though.
Not ancestors for you or me, but
So
still.
my favorite part is always Casa Amor, because it's like they never expect it to come. Like they never expect that part of the
Like,
show.
where
to
do you
come.
think the boys went?
Right,
Where do
yeah.
you think the boys went?
Every
Where do you
season,
think they went?
Yeah.
No, but dude, you have to watch. I don't know if this is gonna make it into your podcast, but like, you have to watch the current season. There's like mini Casa Amors that can happen like anytime,
Multiple?
like random. So like
I'm there.
they're like bombshells come in, and they're like the bombshells get to pick 3 people to go to Casa Amor with for 3 days.
I
It's
am there.
insane.
I am so there.
It's insane.
And everything makes it into the show. I don't do editing.
Oh, great.
It's there.
Well, everyone go watch Love Island. We got 2 huge fans right now, because it's insane and it just makes you feel like, oh, my life is chill.
Yeah, I'm chill. I'm chilling. I get to watch this.
Yeah.
But we are gonna move on to the next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how terrifying is live drawing?
Oh my gosh. Straight up, it's like a solid 8 every time. Like every single time the night before, I'm just like trying to draw as much as I can.
Yeah.
And then the next day you're rusty again because you like slept, and your eyes like normal. And I'm drawing live, just like my hands shaking for the first like few live drawings. Like the first few portraits, I'm like a little shaky. But what I tell myself is I'm like, these people, they can't draw for shit.
That is fair.
Like,
though. That's a fair thing to say.
For the most part, all right.
Yeah.
If another artist came, I'd be, oh my gosh, 10 out of 10 level anxiety. But for the most part, like standards are low, and like you can always redraw it.
For sure.
You could always give it to them for free. If you're like, this is horrible, take this and run. You could do that, So that's how I like alleviate some of that anxiety, is like tell myself these weird things that make me feel better. But yeah, it's a tricky one.
How do you? So let's break down the environment. How do you normally set this up, and
Yes.
where are you doing this at?
All right. So usually I just have like a regular table, and then I have my little I have like a portable mini easel.
Okay.
It's in my videos if anyone wants to go check it out. It's just like a little tabletop easel, and I put my paper on there, and I've been drawing with black brush ink pens, and that has been great. I really recommend using that if you can kind of hone it in your style, because it's so fast. What I've been doing recently was I just take a picture of the person and then draw them. I'm like, go for a lap. Like I was at a block party, so I'm like, go do your thing, come back in like 5-8 minutes, and I'll have this done for you. And that works great, because if a lot of people want to do it, you can kind of take their picture and then have them go and like work on it, and then they're not staring at you, which can cause performance anxiety, because you're just like, please stop staring at me. But I did have one little girl who wanted her portrait done, and her dad was like, let's go around, like, let's go for a loop. And she was like, no, like, I need to see this happen. Thankfully, it was all fine, like your abilities are probably better than you think. And if you, I don't know, I feel like I perform better under pressure, but I just am more freaked out.
Yep.
So it tends to all work out, and you can only practice so much, and then you have to kind of throw yourself in it and see what happens.
I love that. So I don't know if
But my setup's not anything fancy.
Yeah, it just sounds like you're there with
like
a pen, and you're like, hey, let's do this.
I'm there with my stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've done it like in a store before, and it's the same. Like it's the same exact setup.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I always see the caricature ones where people are drawing like wild stuff, and I'm like,
they go off. Yeah, they're really cool. I really respect caricature artists. I feel like it's a whole different skill set. I mean, and I know that there's like classes and stuff, and they use a lot more color and materials and all this stuff that you can totally find a way to incorporate if you wanted to do.
Yeah, that's dope. Are you planning to do, is this something that you're just doing to get the experience, or is this like something that you're wanting to like be more of how you create?
Yeah, both. Yeah, like I did this one recently over at Noni on South Street in Philadelphia, and on 4th Street. And it was just to get the experience because I hadn't done it for a while. You know, I've been out of practice. So I just kind of threw myself into it. And I was like, let's go. Let's see what happens, you know? And now I loved it. I thought it was so fun. So I want to do it more. And I'm just going to like reach out to some local businesses and maybe not so local businesses and see what we can do together. Because I do think it's a fun thing. I feel like a lot of creatives, we are so stuck in like the client brief and then client review and then feedback and then another week of feedback, and then this is like quick, like it's so nice. And after like 4 hours or whatever, maybe you make a set amount of money, maybe they paid you to be there, but like there's no takebacks. Yeah, like it is what it is. You just move on. It's so nice.
Dang, that does sound nice. Sometimes that's my my toss up between like art and design. I'm like, design, there's just so much effort that goes in and is unseen. And I feel like art, you show up, we talked about personal brand earlier, you show up as the person you've described yourself as, and people are cool with it. And they're like, yep, I'll take that. And you're like, exactly. Are you serious?
And this is like this is like the ultimate version of that, because you show up, you do the drawing, and that's it. Like that's the whole thing. Like there's nothing else to hide behind or like wait around for. And I think that's what makes it so scary, but that's what also can make it so rewarding.
For sure. Yeah, that's sick. I don't know if I would ever try that. I applaud you.
Try it. Try it. You should do it.
I'm like, here you go. Everything's free, guys. Everything's free.
Look, honestly, I was going to say, if you're really scared, you should just, anyone who's listening, if you really want to do it, but you're terrified, you don't know how good you'll be, just do it for free. Post up at your local park with a little thing that says free portraits, and see who takes you up on it, see the reactions that you're getting, and see if it's something that you could eventually charge for, or you could do like, you know, in some sort of organized form. If you do it for free, like no one's gonna, I'm not saying do it for free all day for the rest of your life. I'm saying do it for free for a few hours, just as like a test to yourself, the same way you would do like maybe a little personal illustration project or whatever.
Yeah. You really give off the sense that you're just like super brave. Like you, whatever is like something you want to go after, you go after. It's kind of like the...
Thanks. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of just like blind faith. Just like, I don't really feel brave. I just feel like no one's gonna hate me for like, what's the worst that could happen? Like the worst that can happen is no one likes your drawings. You see them walk away and throw it in a trash can. Yeah. That is the worst that could happen. And like you'll live. Like it's embarrassing, but you'll live. So maybe don't go to your local park. Go to like a park you don't live by. So like if you're ashamed, you never have to go again. Like it's not neighbors, right? It's not unfamiliar faces, unfamiliar people. Like the stake is low.
Yeah, I love that. So you're in Philly, right? How long have you lived in Philly?
I've been in Philly since 2020. So I feel like my first 2-3 years in Philly were like COVID world. Mm-hmm. They were not fun, but now that it's not COVID world, it's great. I love it here.
That's dope. What's your pitch for someone else moving to Philly? What is the most exciting thing that you love about the city?
My pitch for Philly, okay? Listen, actually, I'm gatekeeping Philly. Oh. No, I'm kidding. I'll do it. Here's the reasons why I think it's so great. You are a train ride away from New York or DC, which have a ton of job opportunities, right? It's like an hour and a half to New York, 2 hours to DC if you're taking the train. You can drive for about the same amount of time and come back home at night. You don't have to even stay the night if you don't want. Then we have amazing food. I feel like Philly has such good food, and I'm vegan, so I know there's like a ton of vegan restaurants, but I have so many not vegan friends that have like so many spots that they love going to, and the prices, you guys, they're normal. Okay, if you're living in a big city, you're gonna be amazed by these prices. If you're living in the Midwest, you're gonna be like, oh, they're just like a few bucks more, like if you're not living in a major city. And you can walk around, right? Like it's a very walkable city for US standards. And rent is cheap. If you want to rent, you can rent something nice for cheap. And so you can be a creative and not make a ton of money, survive your slow seasons without having to like sacrifice everything in your life, right? You can have a car It's not so hard to find parking like New York. It's a little hard, but not like the hardest thing on earth. It's not, the suburbs are easier, obviously. It's just like there's a lot of things that can make your life easy in Philly. And you still have like city things. You still have like community. There's still tons of people doing all sorts of stuff. And I feel like since Philly is cheaper, it welcomes a lot more like new businesses and small businesses. So people pop up and do cool stuff versus like in big cities. Sometimes that stuff is harder to come by because it's like, you know, everything's a chain because like only chains can survive here.
For sure.
But in Philly, like you have a lot more mom and pop places, independent places that make the city just like really interesting. So yeah, that's my pitch for Philly. But like, don't come here and rent prices. Like, no. You can like buy a house maybe in Philly one day. Like it wouldn't be like great. Like it's still money, but like, you know, it's not like in New York where it's like not even in anyone's mind.
It's not possible. Yeah. Or Phoenix.
Not possible.
Phoenix is like, I live in Phoenix and it's like probably not going to be in the
like
future.
Don't even dream. Yeah. Like just stop dreaming right now.
Yeah.
In Philly, it's like maybe you could consider it, but yeah. I don't know. I don't have a kid, so I don't know about the school system. Sure. I don't know about all the stuff like that, which, you know, I'll leave it to other people to research. But I feel like if you're like a young creative, it's a pretty good option.
Nice.
Or even an old creative. It doesn't really matter.
I had another guest, my buddy Mike. He lives in Philly, and he's always whenever he's creating, he's putting Philly in the backdrop. Like he loves Philly. So
it's sick.
That's pretty dope.
Underrated, totally underrated, but I'll keep it that way for a little longer.
Yeah. Well, you just told it on the podcast, so.
Yeah. Now everyone's going to come and be like, oh no. I'm going to be like, no, my rent.
All right.
It's all right.
This is the last question. I ask everybody this question. Why am I blanking on it?
It's okay.
Here goes. What does creativity mean to you?
Creativity to me means just being able to express yourself through any medium. Just like, be it social media videos, be it your journal, be it an actual painting. Like, I think it's just the expression of yourself and your taste. Like, that to me is creativity, and it can come in any medium or just like in your day-to-day life, right? Like in your little coffee routine. Like, it could be really cute and creative to you, you know? Yeah. And that's adorable. And I think like if you embrace creativity that way, you're less like wondering, am I creative? Am I like interesting enough? Am I unique enough? Like stop doubting it. Like whatever your taste is, it's coming through in everything, you know, and that's your creativity.
I love that. I always say,
at least that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
That's what I tell myself.
I always say there's like, and there's so, like you said, there's so many opportunities to be creative just in your day to day. Like, finding a different way to walk home. Like you're putting something together that is completely different than might have already been there, or might have been what you were like do every day. But yeah, I feel like so many people are hard on being creative. They think it needs to be this certain way or look this certain way. So
yeah, I know. And it's like, I also think creativity is a muscle, right? So like if you push yourself to do something a little bit different this one time, then maybe the next time you're going to do it, and it's going to evolve and you're going to feel more creative because like you actually pushed yourself to do it a different way, whether that's, you know, whatever medium you're in, right? Like if you do it the same way all the time, you're going to stop thinking that you're creative. Yeah. You're just going to be like, I'm just formulaic.
For sure.
But if you redo the kind of your method all the time, you're going to feel more creative. And I think that's what people like. If you don't feel creative, you probably just haven't tried to do something a little different every once in a while.
Yeah, I love that. Where can people find you on the internet?
Yes, you can find me. I'm all over the place. No, primarily you can find me on Instagram at instagram.com/@Fabiolita Draws. I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes so people can go ahead and click on it.
It'll come up on the screen at the beginning.
Yes, yes. And then my website is fabiolita.com. You can see like some of the work I've done there. It's kind of like the professional place to be. But if you have any questions for me, just feel free to DM me. Any listeners out there, my DMs are open. Send me your questions. I'd love to chat with you guys.
Dope. Is there anything you want to promote that's coming soon? That you want?
Oh,
people to
yes. Good call.
Yeah.
I am so forgetful. So I have a Notion content creation content calendar coming up. It's going to be a template that you can use and implement in your practice so you can create content more consistently about your art practice. Because I feel like it's a whole different process. Like we got to separate the two. And this content calendar is going to help you actually start posting regularly. And I'm going to do a live workshop so that people can really understand how to use it and all that. So that should be coming soon. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll get the updates. I also have a newsletter called the Content Creation Support Group for artists specifically. Okay. I share like just the latest trending audios, the latest social media news that might impact you, right? Algorithm changes. And you can get that. If you go to my Instagram, you'll find it in my link in bio. So everything's there. Pick what you want to do, and I'll be sure to remind you when things are up for grabs.
Yep. Hang out with you. This has been a great episode. I really appreciate you being here.
Yay.
I feel like we hit a little bit of a little bit of the sauce is to try to hit everything about a guest. So I feel like we hit all the corners.
I feel like people, if you listen to this episode, you have a really good understanding of me. And so I feel like we have a full 360 view, like how analytical and critical I can be, while also like I just want to watch Love Island UK and see who's going to get voted off. Like when I'm not doing my little work, I'm just like, who's coupling up?
Yeah, who's doing it? I can't believe John just did that.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have any Love Island things you want to bounce off of me, please come into my DMs. I would love nothing more than to talk about the Islanders or whatever other trash TV you're watching, because I'm probably watching it myself.
Nice. Appreciate you being here, and we'll definitely chat offline.
Yes, Cam. We'll keep up with our Islanders together.
All right. Peace.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Creative Questions. Like, comment, or subscribe to allow us to keep making more episodes. I appreciate you for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.